Hello and welcome to CivilNet. We're celebrating the Golden Apricot International Film Festival, and in studio with us is filmmaker Alec Mouhibian, who has just brought 1915, the movie, to Armenia again. Alec, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
We met you a few months ago when the film was about to debut. What's been the experience like over the past 3 months?
It's been a rather interesting roller coaster. I myself have, Garin and I, of course, I've made the film with Garin Hovhannisyan, and when the film was released in the US on April 17 in select theaters and almost simultaneously in Russia and Armenia widely. And Garin went to Russia. Garin was here in Yerevan for the big premiere and for the 100th anniversary, while I stayed on the stateside. So I got to see a lot of different audience reactions from many different kinds of audiences and many different people and how they reacted to this movie. And I was impressed with the depth of engagement from ordinary Armenian audience members that clearly aren't film buffs or intellectual types, but they were, at the end of the film, it wasn't about liking it or disliking it. Some of them liked it, some of them loved it, some of them really hated it and were angry at me and stalked me afterwards and accused me of things. But for the most part, almost 100% of them were deeply, deeply engaged with the story and in a way that was very personal. They seemed to really, be very madahokvads, as it's said here. And that was the purpose. That was our purpose in making the film. So I've seen all sides of it. We can talk about some of those sides. But overall, I've been happy to see the depth of thought and feeling that Armenians were, I think, and it wasn't just related to our movie, obviously. I think the march in Los Angeles, for example, the outpouring of the elevation of awareness in the world about the Armenian genocide touched Armenians and non-Armenians, I think, in a particular way this April. So I'm glad that 1915 was part of that movement, perhaps.
To prepare for this film, I mean, the 100th anniversary is coming up. This is very important. It's sort of formed our existence for a lot of Armenian in diaspora. You and Garin had an idea. Walk us through that idea all the way to completing a big budget, a modest budget film.
Yes, modest, very modest. We sort of saw, as many, I think, people did, we saw the date coming, this number, 100. What is it? The 100th anniversary. We felt that perhaps this is the last chance, Armenia's last chance, Armenians' last chance to get their story heard. If we don't get it out now on the 100th anniversary, it's probably never going to happen. In terms of getting it up, when I say to have the story heard, it's heard and very well established in scholarship, in circles of scholarship and academe, but it's not in the popular imagination. The awareness of this crime and of its importance has sort of been pretty well buried, as we know, and successfully denied to the world at large. And we felt the burden of the 100th anniversary as a time that had to be taken advantage of, and we felt that it had to be taken advantage of with a film, because a film that can reach emotional places that nothing else can reach. And we started to think about possibly making that film ourselves. And the premise of the movie is in a way the 100th anniversary. And we sort of envisioned that there would be a lot of people marching in LA, and made that the premise of the movie. We envisioned that there would be this one of a kind level of demonstration, and most people didn't believe we were sane when describing it to them. Even up to a few weeks before April 24, they thought that we were exaggerating when we said in our film, you can hear it said that hundreds of thousands are marching on the streets and so on. And they thought we were kind of drawing a caricature, but I'm glad that it turned out to be true. And going from sitting in a car on Wilshire Avenue and thinking of of the 3 years ahead, 100th anniversary. What can we do to make a movie that speaks? It's not going to be, we don't have $100 million or 50 or 20. We're not going to be able to raise it. We don't want to enter that endless, that Sisyphean struggle for a movie that'll never be made, that so many previous Armenian genocide projects have fallen under. We knew the realities of what we were facing, and so we decided from the very beginning that it would take place inside of a theater, and through this theater we would be able to explore the entire centenary in a way, and find our way to 1915 through this theater. And we were very lucky to get one of the most beautiful theaters in the world to shoot in, which is the Los Angeles Theater in downtown on Broadway. So it all came from the burden of the centenary, the burden of how are you going to actually make this movie in time for April, because there were a lot of reasons why we could have delayed it. There were many things that could have been, some people even said, wait till after April. People will find out about it in April, and then there might be some interest after. All of that, it was a good thing we got it out there by April 24th, because it's a film that speaks to this particular, I think, moment, which I hope doesn't pass. It shouldn't be a time-sensitive thing in that way, but this sense that somehow this still matters. Somehow 1915 really does matter, not just as a subject, but as a personal, psychological, existing, living thing. And that's what the film is about. And
you were able to utilize this film, this art form, to expose our story to hundreds of thousands of people. Having the vision and then coming to fruition with a film by April 24th is incredible. For those who haven't seen Alex and Garin's previous interview, let's take a look at the trailer and come back and talk some more with Alec Mouhibian.
Everything ends tonight.
Everything. Tonight.
The events that inspired this play were meant to be forgotten. Many people still wish them to remain forgotten. But of course, the past never forgets who you are.
We want justice! We want justice! We want justice! We want justice!
Tonight, the fate of the dead will be in your hands. You will bring those forgotten souls back to life.
Get out! Get out! I won't let him go!
Or you will die with them.
She's bleeding, Simone. The blood's real.
Of course the blood is real, James. You did well.
Maybe you're just pretending up there, Angela? She's actually living 1915.
I can never abandon my son, Colonel.
This role you've written for her, that's so cruel. It's horrifying.
No!
Annie, you're gonna die. The entire Armenian people are gonna die because of you.
No!
Maybe she deserves a happier ending.
You can't change history to make it more comfortable for you.
You are destroying her, can't you see?
Angela, come to me, Angela. Angela, I'm right up the stairs.
Don't you think it's dangerous to play with the past?
Do you know what these are? They're death threats.
What did he do to you?
The Turk is stealing your wife as we speak.
They hate you, Simone. Even the Armenians hate you.
This is my decision!
Can't you just leave her alone?
Real acting means facing the truth about yourself.
Not everybody needs the truth the way you do.
The time has come, my darling. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
That trailer from 1915, the movie, which premiered right before April 24th, Tell us a little bit about you and Garin. You obviously are a man of the arts. What brought you to this point where you're making a movie about the genocide?
Well, Garin and I met in Paul Revere Middle School when we were about 12th and 7th grade, I think it was. It's a middle school in Los Angeles, public school. We were the only two Armenians in this very large school. It so happened to be that my parents had taken his grandfather, Richard Hovhannissian's courses at UCLA back in the 70s. Anyway, we became friends somehow, and from that point on, we sort of became each other's intellectual, I wouldn't say co-mentors, but we grew up together. It was a constant tug of war. We became writers together, and we went through various intellectual phases together as one goes through.
Were you part of his teenage the Bible about
the political
about
Bible?
Teenage puberty and such?
Well, it wasn't a Bible. That was just a title. It was a political treatise, and yes, I must plead guilty to being very much a part of that youthful passion.
So you're
for
exercising
ideas.
your creativity from early on.
Yeah, from early on, and in many different, I would say, forms. There was a very political side to it, as you recall. Apparently, we thought that we had crushed such memories of any of that, but there was a political side to it. There was a poetic side to it, and it's funny that there wasn't quite a cinematic side to it until much later. It was all very literary for the first,
including these UCLA paper.
Including we started UCLA, an alternative newspaper. Garin worked at the Daily Bruin. I worked at the Daily Bruin. He founded and I helped him found the Bruin Standard, which is an alternative paper there. We were kind of active and mischievous in the mischievous journalist phase in college, and he went to journalism school at Columbia for a year actually. So we went through many different, I guess, phases that led us ultimately to the creative and I would hope permanent phase of trying to create stories and films. And in this particular film, we're very different people. I mean, we have very different, I guess, styles of creation. But in this film, we knew that we sort of had to. We would be good. We would be a good balance to each other and to our various tendencies, and we'd each bring something different to this particular story, which has so many different sides to it that no film could contain them all. We tried to contain several different aspects of the Armenian condition 100 years on. There are many in the film, and some that had to be curtailed because a film has its own logic and its own movement that you find at some point, and sometimes your vision has to be adjusted.
You have to bring your own set of histories and mind and experiences to be able to also diagnose what's happening on the screen. Dynamics between your characters.
Right, and we had it was a very smooth process. It wasn't nobody felt like they were being directed by two different voices. It was very much one voice with coming from different mouths. But we were all at that point. By the time you get on a set of a film, you've done so much sweating and fighting, and just with yourself and with each other and with everything around about what this story needs to be, that at that point, in our case, we were completely on the same page. There were no public or even really private disagreements at that point, because all those disagreements have already been had and are invisibly ongoing. But you know who should win and who needs to correct their feelings, because it's just getting there. If you're gonna take the script seriously, the script is where it needs to be found, and then you need to just communicate it to your actors, to your crew, to your production team, and make sure that they understand. And in our case, they did. It was a real blessed effort to get this thing done in 20-day shoot on time. We could not afford any idiotic episodes, anybody throwing fit. Everyone really, they sacrificed a lot, and we got a lot of people who were working well below their normal means to be part of this project, including some of our cast who flew in from all over the world. From Berlin, Nikolai Kinski, who's the brother of Nastasia Kinski, who's the featured guest here.
Also, Simon Apkarian lives
Simon
in
Apkarian
Paris,
lives in
right?
Paris. He flew over. Simon Apkarian stayed with his brother. Nikolai stayed with friends. I mean, they were very, very accommodating and very willing to be part of this.
Well, you made a major accomplishment to be able to get the story on the screen in one form or another, and it will now be available to a lot of audiences in different parts of the world. What kind of distribution are you looking at?
Well, we've been traditionally distributed in the U.S. already, and it's ongoing city by city. There are single screenings that still happen through a particular platform. But we were traditionally out in L.A., New York, Fresno, a few other places. That was back from April to May, and that was very successful.
Russia?
In Russia, it was released by their biggest distributor on 50, 60 screens. A lot of people saw it. The premiere was a huge deal, and so Russia, we've covered Russia pretty well. And of course, here in Armenia, it was out in theaters for a month and a half. And now
playing again?
And it's playing again here for a few times, and I hope whoever was not able to see it on the big screen, or whoever saw it instead in a YouTube ripoff, a Russian YouTube ripoff, would actually go see it in a theater here. And now we're focusing on South America, on Europe, and getting it out to different forms. We were just in Australia actually for a few special screenings that were very well attended and warmly received. So we're working on getting it out everywhere else now, and we've received interest from all kinds of places, including Turkish film festivals, which we eagerly look forward to finding our way into showing in the right circumstances.
And there will be more dialogue about this film in the years and decades to come. Like all works of art, people take time to sort of interpret, to understand.
Right.
And what happens to you and Gotti next? What are you guys doing next?
Well, we've got some ideas in the oven. And there's nothing formal to announce or anything like that. But we've got several different possibilities that have been in the back of our minds, and we're trying to now push them out to the front. But we still have a lot of work to do with this film. I think the most I guess interesting thing about it to me is that everybody who watches this movie watches it in a different way, depending on who they are, whether they're a certain kind of Armenian, another kind of Armenian, whoever they are, even if they're not Armenian. A certain type of Turks, I'm sure, will watch it in a very particular way. I think it's kind of, you feel like, if you're tuned in, you feel like it's addressing some part of you that exists there somewhere. I think if the movie works, that's how it works. So.
And clearly it has, from the reaction that you've told us at the beginning, from people loving it to people stalking you with.
Sure. Yeah. Well, all you want all you want to see is that people are awakened and not bored or indifferent to it, and in that respect.
Well, thank you very much, Alec, for your effort and Gotti's effort and all the investors and all the advisors and the actors and actresses. And we look forward to more movies from you in the years to come. Enjoy the film festival.
Thank you. I will. Thanks for having me, and I hope to be back in a few years with the next one.
Okay. Thank you very much, Alec. And thank you for joining us. Check out 1915, the website, online by Google searching it. And we'll see you next time on CivilNet.